All right, we're going to talk about why semen retention brings you closer to God, right? So, in a lot of cases, I can't speak for everybody, but God isn't what you think God is, right? Let's understand what God is, right? God is the infinite force of the universe, right? That has no beginning or no end, right? Now, science has never been able to prove God, right? Well, actually, they have. They just haven't realized it yet, right? Energy is God. God is energy. And that's not to downplay like a creator God, no. Because energy is intelligence, right? Energy is intelligent, right? Energy cannot be created or destroyed. God has no beginning or end. They're saying the same thing. Energy is God. You can't really see energy in its purest form, right? It's an invisible force that moves the world. Is God not also that same thing, right? So what we're getting at here is there is a field, right? A spiritual field, you can call it, or an energetic field, right? That is under all things in the material world. It moves the material world like a puppet, like a hand in a puppet, right? So everything is a manifestation of this field of energy, right? Therefore, everything is God. Everything's a manifestation of God, right? And this invisible force needed this material world where everything appears separate, right? So that it could understand itself, right? It needed mechanisms to play around with to really understand what it's about, right? Because without that, there's no comparison to know what this invisible force is, right? This invisible force can't be created or destroyed, meaning it always was. It's eternal, right? God is eternal. Energy is eternal. So it doesn't matter the lens you're looking at this. It doesn't matter which religion. It doesn't matter if you're coming from science and you're an atheist. This all is the same thing. Like, this ties into semen retention, and I'm gonna get into that, right? So I had to cover all that so we can understand this, right? If God is energy, and you retaining your semen as a man is retaining energy, your sexual energy. Sexual energy is creative energy. It is energy nonetheless, right? So therefore, the more energy you have within you, the more presence of God you have within you, right? And now, when we go back to what I said, there's not you and then there's God, right? Like I said, everything in the material realm is manifestations, like little trinkets that this energetic field is playing with to know itself. So that means you and I are no different than just a trinket that field that God is playing with, right? So because the mind, while this being is alive, is still going, right? But your true self is that energy, that essence. And if you're engaging in, lust and stuff like that, you're squandering your actual essence. So while this brain is alive, it's going to suffer without the God presence that you truly are inside of you, right? Because we're not these egos. We're not this brain. And the more energy you have inside of you, you really understand who you truly are, right? This is why a lot of religious people, a lot of spiritual people were celibate, right? And I'm not advocating to be completely celibate. But there is most definitely a correlation. The less you're leaking that energy, the more eternal, intelligent presence is within you, right? So, but you can never lose it all, because these little trinkets to even exist need to have energy. Like, you're not gonna, expel it so much that you just die instantly. Like, I don't think that's happened yet. But what I'm getting at here is, you just have just enough to keep this machine, this little trinket, functioning, right? But it's a miserable existence, because you're not operating the way the field designed it to operate, right? It's about the field, not about this, right? And when you're lusting, that's a condition of the mind to where it forgets what it is. It forgets that it's really just a part of this infinite field, right? But it thinks it's its own thing. The ego, lust is one of the hindrances to enlightenment. It's one of the 7 deadly sins, right? So you doing this, you separate yourself from God, and then you forget that you are a part of this infinite field. You forget that you are this infinite field. And then you start suffering because now you think you're this little thing in this scary world, right? When it's all you. It's all part of this infinite energy, right? So you have to realize these things when you're trying to quit, PMO and all of this, right? That your true essence is what you're squandering. God is what you're squandering. This energy, God is energy, right? So when you are squandering this essence, you are literally separating yourself from God. This is why you see a lot of people that are Christian even doing semen retention, because they can't deny, like, they do feel God's presence. It's just got kind of interlaced with some dogma and stuff like that, right? Like, I'm not going to get into why Paul messed up, the teachings of Yeshua, but that'd be a different video. But point is, all the spiritual masters knew what God truly was, and they knew how to be close to God and not squandering your essence, not literally casting God out of you. This is why lust is an issue in all religions. So keep that in mind when you think about giving in to a temporary desire, that you're throwing away yourself, you're throwing away a piece of God that is instilled inside of this body, right? Because you and God are one, It is one thing, This is what Jesus, Yeshua said. This is what all of the spiritual masters said. So keep that in mind.